because sometimes when you have an issue, you can go and face them man to man. Okay, so
I'm outside in an AMG, right outside, TT, two-turn baby girl, you know me.
hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sheila-kate, take care of Big Sheila for a reason, and Big Sheila with a vibe. But if you don't know, well, now you know. If this is your first time seeing this pretty girl, once again, my name is Sheila-kate and I am an international student here in the US. My mission is basically to make your transition into the US and your life in the US easy as an international student. Okay, so in today's video I'll be sharing with you the very first things you need to do once you step foot in the US as an international student. Okay, so without much ado, let's go straight into today's video. The very first thing you need to do, and I think you should do this thing before you even come to the country, is setting or getting an accommodation. Okay, right after your visa has been approved, you have to think of where you're going to sleep. Where are you going to sleep? So I have a video on that on my channel, so make sure you just check it out. And if you still have any further questions, you could just leave in the comment section down below and I'll be free to, or I'll be willing to answer that. Okay, now once you step foot in the US, the very first thing you need to do, okay, maybe the very first day you're tired, okay, so you just sleep, you're jet lagged, so you're tired. Okay, the very first thing you need to do the next morning is to make sure that you go to the international office. You are an international student, therefore your first point of call should be the international office. They need to know that you landed in the country because you told the American people, visa people, that you're coming to school. Okay, so imagine you're coming to school and the school doesn't even know you're in the country in some way. So make sure you go check in at the international office. Okay, but when you're going, make sure you go with certain documents like your passport and your I-20, or in short, you know that file you sent to the F1 visa interview. Yeah, take everything there, but I'm pretty sure they will need just the passport and the I-20. When you go, they're going to give you your I-94. I-94 basically is, okay, to make it simple, you need your I-90, or you need, to make it simple, you need your I-20 before you enter the country, and then whilst you're in the country, you need your I-94. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but then once they give you that I-94, make sure you put it in the file, you know, that file you send to the F1 visa interview, which contains all your important documents as an international student. You have to make sure that you keep your I-94 very safe. Okay, now after that, the next thing you're supposed to do is just go straight to the IT department of your school and go get yourself a school ID. School ID, I don't need to tell you what a school ID is, but basically for verification purposes. Okay, you're a student, what shows you're a student? You need your school ID. There are certain programs that are free for students, and then you will need to show your ID for them to, you know, for you to enjoy those benefits. There are some certain shops around that give there are some certain shops around that give discounts to students. Okay, so how are you going to enjoy that? You need to show to them that you're a student with your school ID. There are some certain places that you cannot enter if you don't have a school ID. Places like the gym, you need a school ID to show that you're a student, and it's free as well. Okay, and in my other video I made mention of this particular app that is going to help you put your school ID on your phone. It's not just for school ID, it's for any card that you have. Okay, so that you don't have to go through the hassle of always trying to remember to pick your physical card. Okay, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. I'll try and put the picture of the app over here in case you've not watched that video, but make sure you check that video out. Okay, all right. So now the next thing you're supposed to do, maybe you're tired, so probably the following day, the next thing you're supposed to do is to make sure that you get yourself an American phone number. Okay, you need an American phone number. When you come, you can't continue to use the particular mobile networks that you're using in your home country, be it Ghana, Nigeria, wherever you're from. Well, you could try using the Wi-Fi, but that'll be very complicated because you can't make certain calls, like people can't call you and all, unless on WhatsApp, and people don't really use WhatsApp here. Just to make yourself easy, to make your life easy for you, just make sure that when you come, you get yourself an American number. And yeah, you just go get yourself an American number. There are so many mobile networks available. There's T-Mobile, there's Verizon, there's Mint. There are quite a number. Just make sure that you go for the one that is quite cheap, or I mean, if you can afford an expensive one, that's okay. But then as a student, you have to make sure that you live on a budget, right? So just first thing you have to do is ask around, ask people, hey, what network are you using? I need to know. Okay, personally I use T-Mobile, and I pay like $15 a month, and I think that is okay. I think that's quite cheap and affordable for me. So just ask around. Okay, but then before that, you have to pay attention to the particular phone you're using. Since I've been here, I don't think, aside iPhones and Samsungs, I don't think I've seen any other phones. and that's because there are certain phones that are not compatible with the American numbers over here. So if you're using a phone like like what, Huawei, I'm not too sure. If you're using, I've forgotten the Alcatel. What else? I've forgotten, but those mobile networks, or like those phones we use in Ghana, not all of them are compatible with the American phones. And even with iPhone car, I don't think you can use iPhone 5. I don't think you can use 6. I think it's from like 10 going. I'm not too sure. So because I remember a friend had that and he had to go and buy a new phone because his phone wasn't compatible with the American phone number. So just make sure to be on the safer side, do your research, and then have at the back of your mind that you may or you might probably have to buy a new phone just to make sure that your phone is compatible with the number you're gonna get. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but don't worry, you get it. Now, after that, the next thing you need to do straight is just go and make sure that you get yourself an American bank account. Okay, make sure you go and open a bank account here in the US. Once again, just ask people, hey, what bank are you using, or what bank do you use? I like to use, the advice I'll give you on that is probably just use a bank that is closer to you, like you can actually walk there, because sometimes when you have an issue, you can go and face them man to man. Okay, so make sure that you use a bank account, or you go and get a bank account that is close to you. Proximity is very important. But yeah, once again, ask people, hey, what are you using? How do I do that? You can't go wrong with asking questions as an international student, especially if you don't know your way about, okay? But then you have to know that some of them you can't do walk-in, some of the banks you can't do walk-in, so you probably have to book an appointment. So you have to use someone else's phone, book an appointment, and then later on you can, go and get your bank account, okay? Now, at this point, I remember when I came, after this step, the next thing I went to do was to make sure that I go do shopping, okay? So when you come, just go and do shopping, go and buy your your utensils, your egg, your water, your oil, rice, random stuff that you're going to have in the house. Okay, so that was what I did at this stage after I went to get myself a bank account. Now, the next thing, which I think is the most important step for you at this point, the next thing you need to do is make sure you go to your department and you meet your professors, especially if you have a job or you don't have a job. In fact, whether you have a job or not, I feel like it's a very imperative for you to have some bit of rapport with your professors before the start of class. Now, why is that important? This is just a way for you to just talk to them and let them know let them know you, and then you also get to know them. If there's one thing I've realized or I've noticed about American professors, that they actually like talking to you. They want to know you. They want you to be free to walk, okay, not really walk into their office, but then they want to have that sort of rapport and relationship with you. When I was in Ghana, I used to be scared of my lectures, but when I came here, I realized that they actually want you to talk. They don't want you to be scared. If there's anything going on with you, let them know, especially if it's going to interfere with your academics and all of that. I remember when I came, I didn't have a job, but then I went to my department and I met one or two professors. I told them that, oh, I'm looking forward to taking your class this semester, those things, and then with time, I had to tell him that, hey, I told one of them that I don't have a job. So in case he hears of anything, he should let me know. It was like, sure, don't worry, I got you. And it was through that I was able to get my first job, and it was through that I was able to get my first graduate assistantship. Okay, so make sure that you obviously go and look around your department and get yourself acclimatized to the buildings and all of that. But aside that, make sure you go and say hi or introduce yourself to your professors, okay? Because you are going to need a rapport here once you're going to be an international student in the US, okay? So don't say I didn't tell you anything. Don't say I didn't tell you. Now, at this point, the next thing you're supposed to do is your orientation. Orientation is important. As to whether it's compulsory, I don't know, but I think it's important. Once you're an international student, whenever the school organizes orientation, I feel like you have to go. It is through the orientation that you're going to meet people from your country. You're going to meet international students from other countries. You're going to learn the do's and don'ts, the rules and regulations here as an international student, okay? And yeah, please just make sure you go, okay? Just go. Now, at this point, the next thing I'm going to talk about is your social security, okay? Now, social security and the rules surrounding it, I think it differs from state to state. it differs from state to state. For my state, for the school I'm in, University of South Dakota, you cannot get a social security unless you get a job or unless you have a job. Okay, so when you have a job, then you are eligible to have a social security. So one thing my school does that I think is very, very nice is the fact that once you have a job, you just go to them and show them your proof of employment, and then they are going to do all the things, you know, apply for your social security for you, blah blah blah. They're gonna do all of that for you, and even after that, they're also gonna organize like a bus, because the social security office is not in our area, is in like Yankton, which is like an hour or 45 minutes away. So the school organizes a bus, and it's also free. So the school organizes you know, transportation for the students who are going to get their SSN. You go there and then you get your SSN. That is very simple. Okay, but I think other states it's not like that. You can actually get an SSN if you don't have a job. I'm not too sure, but with my particular school or with the state I'm in, you are only eligible for an SSN if you have a job as an international student. Okay, now once you have a job, then you can also apply for a credit card. In my other videos, if you've been watching me for a while now, I've said one or two things or instances where I've had to use my credit card. And you know, I keep saying I'm going to make a video on credit cards, but for some reason I don't do it, but I'm still going to do that. Once you have a credit card, I'll talk about that in another video, okay? But it's important if you want to. It's not by force, actually. There are some people that say they don't really use credit cards, but then if you want to build your credit score in America, you're going to need a credit card, okay? So with a credit card, obviously there are quite a number of credit card companies here in the US. Even your bank, I think every bank has a credit card too as well that you can also apply for. But then there's a particular one that students like to use, and which is Discover. I use Discover. Almost everyone I know here, the first or the most important or the very first credit card they use is a Discover, and from time they apply for other credit cards. Okay, so then you also need to have at the back of your mind that if you're interested in having a credit card, you might have to do that at this point after your SSN. Okay, the next thing that I think you need to do after you do all of these things is making sure that you get yourself a driver's license. Okay, now I know some of you were like, I don't know how to drive, I don't have a car yet, I don't have plans of getting a car, blah 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 blah. You don't have to wait till you have a car or you have the means to get a car before you have a driver's license. Why do you say that, or why do I say that? First of all, there are certain jobs that one of the requirements for those jobs is the fact that you know how to drive. An example, remember when I told you that the school organizes like a trip, or the school organizes transportation to go and get your SSN, right? The person who drives that is also a student, and that is him or she, or he or she doing his job. Do you get me? So now imagine you're looking for a job, you get a job, and one of the requirements of the job is having a driver's license, but then you don't know how to drive, so you didn't go and get yourself a driver's license. Imagine that. So don't wait to need something before you have it, or don't wait to need your driver's license before you go get it. It's imperative that after a month here in the US, you make sure that you have everything ready just in case you might need it. Okay, and one of them is also having your driver's license. The next thing is also getting a state ID. Truth is, I'm yet to get that because I have a passport, I have a driver's license, but it doesn't hurt to have a state ID as well, because sometimes when you're moving, you don't always have to take your passport with you. Sometimes if you're moving within the state ID is also very, very important. Just make sure you get it. I'm here to get mine too as well, so make sure you get it. And I think there are certain places where, especially if you drink, they have to check your age, and you don't want to carry your passport to the bank every time you don't want to carry your passport to the bar every time you're going to drink. That is some way. Just make sure that you have yourself a state ID just in case it comes in hand. Okay, now the last thing, if I'm not mistaken, the last thing I'd want you to do is also look around for some organizations that you can join, especially like religious organizations, you know, churches. That is, if you're a Christian, just go around looking for churches. That's it, guys. We've come to the end of today's video. If there was anything I forgot to mention, make sure you put it in the comment section down below. If this video was very helpful to you as well, let me know in the comment section. If you have video requests or video recommendations as well, please put all of them down in the comment section. I'll definitely check them out. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed, why? Just make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you click the notification bell so that you can be notified anytime I post a video. Follow me on Instagram at @vanderpool_. I'll put my Instagram handle over here so you can check me out. as usual, it's still Big Sheila for a reason, and Big Sheila with the vibe. If you don't know, well, now you know. I'll see you in my next video. Until then,